Hello, I'm the Resolute Cartographer, and this is the story of the Watoga Civic Center. Located at the northwest corner of the city of Watoga, the Watoga Civic Center served as a venue for a variety of events, including concerts and basketball games, in which the automated nature of the city of tomorrow played out through the use of robotic musicians and ball players. Inside the structure today, we find the central arena on the ground floor, laid out along a east to west axis, with stands to the north, south, and east. There are locker rooms to the north and the south, with the southern locker room entrance collapsed, and a utility closet at the southeastern corner of the arena. The second level is concession stands to the north and the south, with bathrooms at the east end and box seats at the west. The third floor gives access to the upper stands and additional concessions. Outside, the structure is surrounded at ground level by a triangle of streets: Circuit Road to the north, AMS Street to the southwest, and Electron Road to the east. There's an adjacent vehicle entrance to the Watoga garage on the north side of the structure, allowing for vehicle parking on site. A pair of rooftop pedestrian bridges connecting the arena to the Watoga Towers block just to the east, and the Watoga Transit Hub just to the south, allowing for easy access via bus and monorail. And a landing pad on the western roof, presumably reserved for VIPs and emergencies. Not all VIPs arrive by air, and in fact at least one of the three boxes belonged to the Garahan family, who were just a monorail ride away, although they didn't seem to visit the arena very often. Unfortunately for the city, the Civic Center didn't end up being as effective a draw as they expected, in large part due to the gimmick they intended to bring in curious spectators: the robotic players. As it turned out, the games weren't easy to follow, as the robots didn't have any differentiating markings. The games also suffered from fixing, as behind the scenes, employees of the center rigged the matches in their favor. The center also hosted an antique show that was dominated by the proprietor of the nearby Appalachian Antiques. Against the year-old product produced by the people of the city, Appalachian Antiques was able to sell out its full stock of fake antiques, likely no older than those items brought in by the Watogans. But these items were artificially stressed to appear antique. But regardless of the state of the events typically hosted by the Civic Center, by late October 2077, the arena was host to a presidential debate. This is interesting for a couple of reasons, but we'll get back to those in a moment. On Saturday, October 22nd, 2077, as final preparations for the debate were underway, things in Watoga exploded. No, this wasn't the day of the bombs that ended the rest of the world. That event would have to wait until the following day. This was the day the rebellious worker at the nearby Robotics Research Center accidentally caused the robotic servants of Watoga to violently turn on their human masters. We'll go deeper into the story of Scott Turner in a future video. Just know that for the people of Watoga, the world ended a day early. People were killed all over the city, including in the arena. The army arrived to attempt to regain control, but the bombs ended that effort the next day. The human population fled the city for different refuges. Some went north to the Bogtown, some to the old asylum to the west. But regardless of where they went, the city was effectively emptied by humans. After a series of salvaging raids from the Bogtown came to an end, the city appears to have laid uncontested, in total control of the robots for years. Just across the regional border between the Cranberry Bog and the Mire, the Appalachian Brotherhood of Steel was born in these early years after the war. The scouts of the Brotherhood spread out across the region, exploring even the dangerous streets of Watoga, where they found that the area was too risky with too little reward for salvage. When the Scorch Beasts were freed from captivity, they began to spread across the bog, nesting in different structures across the region, including atop 4 structures in Watoga, the Civic Center included. When the Brotherhood was scouting the Allegheny Asylum to the west as a site for a possible fortification, one of the knights witnessed a Scorch Beast for the first time. As the Brotherhood's efforts in the region shifted away from defending the trade routes and preserving technology to ending the Scorch Beast threat, they returned to Watoga. After blockading an entrance and placing protective barriers around a second, they cleared the area of hostile robots and set up a small outpost on the arena floor. The Brotherhood fought an increasingly desperate fight against the Scorch Beast until their last stand in August of 2095, and the city was once again abandoned to the robots until the Vault Dwellers of 76 arrived in 2102. Thanks to a condemned entrance and the efforts of the Brotherhood, 2 of the ground level entrances are blocked, meaning there are currently only 4 doors through which you can enter the structure itself. The back door entrance to the north locker room, the VIP entrance/emergency exit on the west roof, the concessions door on the small southern deck, and the elevator that accesses the skyway to the transit hub. Within, the Watoga Civic Center is showing signs of its age and the events that have taken place around it. First struck by atomic mining surfaces, nuclear mining in the area, then by the bombs on the day of the war, and finally having its roof utilized as a nest by Scorch Beasts, the structure has not been helped by the lack of scheduled maintenance over the past 25 years. In places, the roof has fallen in, crushing seats in the stands, and leaving a large hole in the arena floor. In the locker room, a strange organism, reminiscent of a similar organism in the Morgantown High School locker room, is growing in the showers. Thanks to the Brotherhood, unlike the city outside, the Civic Center shows a complete lack of operational robots and instead is occupied by the Scorched. That about covers the layout and history of the Civic Center, but there's something else that we have to consider from what we learned here, and it centers on the presidential debate that was scheduled to take place. The standard operational procedure of the American elections at this time in the real world does not mirror the events in the Fallout universe. 2077 is not an election year in our current schedule of elections. 2076 would have been the most recent presidential election year, with 2080 being the next. There are presidential debates in the fall of the year of the election, following the end of the primary season that began the preceding fall. None of these dates match a 2077 presidential debate. It appears from this piece of information that the election process has been changed in the Fallout universe from our standard system. It could be that for some reason the election cycle has been dislodged from the typical 4-year periodic cycle that it's been under since George Washington, due to some crisis or another causing election postponement. The term length of the president could have changed, but whatever may have caused this 2077 debate to take place, there is another thing to consider here. That the incumbent president was nowhere near Watoga at that time. Rather, he was on the Poseidon oil rig out in the Pacific. This could mean that he was unable to participate in the debate because he was unable to run again due to the presidential term limit. It could also mean that had the debate taken place the night of October 27, 2077, that he would have missed the debate, which would have made for a kind of spectacle. Just some things to consider. Anyway though, that should do it for the Watoga Civic Center. This has been the Resolute Cartographer. Next time we'll cover Watoga Emergency Services, the site of some of the greatest failures in the automated systems of Watoga. Thanks for watching. I'll see you again next time.